Walter Cronkite with the World Local News. The local news seen throughout the world. In today's program, we will be looking through our decade, the 70s, through all the major events that we thought were important. Because that's just the way it is. Back to you in the studios, Walter.
Thank you, Walter. Good afternoon. I am Walter Cronkite. And just like Walter said previously, we will in fact be taking a journey through our decade of the 70s. I would like to start off with the most influential and important news that I deemed worthy to talk about. One important event that not many people know about is the Love Canal event. In 1978, residents of Love Canal, New York, evacuated because 20,000 tons of toxic waste was buried in that area. This caused severe birth defects, miscarriages, deformities, and President Carter declared this a national emergency. Then, in 1973, with the Roe versus Wade case, this was very important because this made the first trimester abortion legal. That same year, the American Psychiatric Association removed homosexuality as a psychiatric disorder. 2 years later, the ban was lifted on homosexuals for most federal jobs, excluding, of course, the military. And now, a word from our sponsors.
The world looks mighty good to me, 'cause Tootsie Rolls are all I see. Whatever it is I think I see becomes a Tootsie Roll to me. Tootsie Roll, how I want your chocolate chew. Tootsie Roll, I think I'm in love with you. Whatever it is I think I see becomes a Tootsie Roll to me.
Now, to Walter with music.
Thank you, Walter. And I am Walter Cronkite. In this segment, I will be talking about music. First, some tragedies. A little-known man that loved to gyrate his hips. He was born January 8, 1935, in Mississippi. He died August 16, 1977, in Memphis, Tennessee. His name, Elvis Presley. My prediction, in 40 years they will have stamps in his honor. Janis Joplin also died in 1970 on October 4th. She was from Port Arthur, Texas. She died from an overdose of heroin. Jim Morrison died in France. He was the lead singer of The Doors. He died July 3rd, 1971, and no autopsy was performed. Lynyrd Skynyrd's plane ran out of fuel and fell from the sky on October 20th, 1977. Many members died, including Ronnie Van Zant, Steve and Cassie Gaines, the pilot and co-pilot, and their assistant road manager. Now on to something a little less harsh. Punk rock started in the late 1970s. It started with the Ramones, the Sex Pistols, and the Clash. They had homemade fashion, a do-it-yourself attitude. It was a great subculture. The music had short songs, stripped down music, and usually some type of anti-establishment attitude. Disco music was the dance music of the 1970s. Its roots were funk, Latin, and soul music. Kiss. Not that Kiss. Not that Kiss either. That is so much better. They're the founder of a little-known thing called the Kiss Army. In January 1973, the band released their first album. They had elaborate stage performances, makeup, and pyrotechnics. And my prediction, 40 years later, you will be able to buy the Kiss coffin. Some other bands that made their names in the 1970s are listed. Some bands include Aerosmith, Boston, Led Zeppelin, Journey, even Devo. They whipped it good. Eric Clapton, the Bee Gees, even the Jackson 5. James Brown got his started, and many more. One of the greatest albums of all times was created in March of 1973. It is The Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd. I predict that this album will be on the Billboard charts until, let's say, 2011 and hold the record. Back to you, Walter.
Welcome back to you, the world, local Americans. The next thing I would like to talk about is the second wave of women's rights. This happened in the late 60s to early 70s, and now the National Organization of Women demanded equal rights for equal pay. Also, they demanded paid maternity leave, better divorce agreements, federal child care funding, and improved access to birth control or legalized abortion, which they got with Roe v. Wade. So, in 1972, the House approved it and set a 7-year deadline for it to be approved by 38 states. At the end of that 7-year mark, only 35 states had approved it. So now, the National Organization of Women marched in Washington, and it worked. And that's just the way it is. And now, a word from our sponsors.
Where you going, Susie?
To spend the night at Kathy's.
Bet you're excited.
A little scared, too, Milton. I've never slept away from home.
That's only natural. I was nervous my first night here.
Really?
Sure, I didn't know if you'd like Kellogg's Pop-Tarts, but you did. Especially all that real fruit filling and delicious frosting.
Milton, did you ever stay at a friend's house?
Nope, couldn't find an extension cord long enough. There's a lot of good inside Kellogg's Pop-Tarts toaster pastries.